respecting the Constitution and going to Congress to actually authorize the use of military force. None of this would be happening if Congress actually stepped up and honored its role at this very moment. And I think that's what some of my former colleagues were speaking to there.
Well, and we spoke with Chrissy Houlihan last hour, who was one of those Congress members in the video, and they didn't specify any particular actions that they believe this administration's taken. That is illegal. They, as you point out, were just speaking the facts of what every service member should be doing, and that is following the law. Sarah, you worked in the first Trump administration. What is your reaction to how the Trump administration is handling this, the president specifically, and what does it say about the state of our politics right now?
Yeah, I think the gaslighting coming from this administration is mind-boggling, but not surprising. Watching the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, and others defend this is absolutely insane to me. I mean, if this was any other president, we would be having conversations about the 25th Amendment if they were calling for the opposing party, members of the opposing party, to be hanged. And instead, she flips this over on how, well, they're inciting violence. And to me, it looks like the president is the one very clearly inciting violence here. And we've had a lot of conversations recently in the state of our politics, and especially in the aftermath of the horrific death of Charlie Kirk, about the need to tone down the rhetoric in this country and dial it back. But instead, the president is the one who keeps continuing to just ratchet it up. And I think that it's really shameful when you look at the Republican lawmakers. You played some clips of their responses and them sane-washing this, and they say, oh, well, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. No, you should be very clearly condemning this, and no matter what party you're on or what party you're a part of. And so it really does speak to how we are so divided as a country and how Trump has just normalized this type of rhetoric and desensitized us as Americans that this is acceptable, because it's not.
Yeah, Speaker Johnson wasn't in those clips, but we did play his remarks earlier in our last hour, and he actually defended the president and took issue with the video from those Democratic lawmakers, saying what they said in that video was wildly inappropriate, saying it was beyond the pale for them to put out that interview, or that video, I should say. Other Republicans have tried to separate themselves from the president's comments. Some have tried to dodge responding altogether. Congressman, what is the responsibility to speak out on this?
These people are lying. I didn't see it. I don't know anything about it. I've not looked at my phone. I've never met a federal representative who does not check the news every 20 minutes. They have tens of staff members whose only job it is to update them on what's going on. And then they bold-faced lie because they're so afraid of this president. They're so afraid of a potential primary. They're so afraid of some backlash from a MAGA extremist that could potentially call them or even tweet at them. That's how fragile they are. There was a moment, and this goes back to the point I just made, there was a moment where members of Congress looked at their institution as something to be honored. And that was ahead of their political party, because that's what the Constitution says. And if they actually acted that way, then they would assert their constitutional obligation to be the only institution that can declare war. It can't be the president that just repeatedly, for months on end, decides to bomb boats off the coast of Venezuela. That's not the way this works. And every single time they say, well,